Welcome to the Thrive Podcast. My name is Troy Anthony Evans. I'm here with my nephew, Mark Evans. Mark L. Evans, that is. Maybe you can go into L later of what that is.
Later in the year.
Later in the year. But man, the Thrive Podcast, what we're all about is equipping leaders in the area of discipleship, leadership, and technology. And it's like a collision happening between those three because I believe they're very important. Today, we're going to talk about a topic that I think is critical, which is storytelling. You know, I think that's is something in the life of a believer that I think is, essential. And when we stop telling our story, then I don't know. It's like, man, it puts us in a weird spot. So, what do you feel about storytelling, Mark? Is that a comfortable space for you?
I mean, it's something I definitely grew in, just kind of being under leadership, having the opportunity to share the gospel, or that's like on a, macro, but on the micro end, it helped me with, landing jobs. It helps me with, relating to people. It helps me just all types of things. I'm learning that stories are the best way to communicate anything.
Yeah, man.
Scripture are stories of, people's lives, so then that we can relate and then, go and retell the stories if necessary, or then, inject our own life. So as somebody that learned storytelling from you, I'm, 5-10 years into this, but you have like almost 30 years with receipts. Right, we got books, we got podcasts. We're starting in this ministry. As a pastor, so many opportunities to share your story. Like, why do you think storytelling is vital?
Yeah, for the disciple, it's critical. I think when you think about what a disciple is, it helps to really make it make sense. So when we look at disciple and we think of discipleship in America, we think of disciple as a binder. That's discipleship, or a class.
Okay.
Give somebody a binder, go to a class, sit down, shut up, and let me say some stuff to you. And then, we did discipleship. We're doing discipleship. Where the idea is discipleship, it is from the concept of Talmud or Talmudim, which is Talmudim being plural, which is more than a student. It's more than just being a follower. It is emulating the life of. It is you being an apprentice. So if you don't know the life of, then how do you emulate?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like critical, like the life of your rabbi, the life of Jesus, in our case, the rabbi. It's like we have to know how he lived so we can live how he lived.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think as we're emulating him, and then we're expecting others to emulate us as we emulate him,
Right.
I think it's critical that we tell our story. I think it's part of the disciples' journey to be able to know their story and to be able to tell it.
Yeah.
Straight up.
One thing that really made it come alive is one thing to know about Jesus. I'm all about telling people about Jesus, but then seeing someone live in the flesh telling you their story of how Jesus impacted and how I'm learning from that story. Like, it is totally different. I could read something, but then walking with someone, it makes the scriptures come alive.
It changes the game. I think it opens the life to where it's like preach the gospel always, but sometimes talk. It is, even though it is talking, but it's what I'm talking about, right? It's like, man, I want to show you where you may not understand the depths of the scriptures. And I know that there's a lot of, gain more understanding of the Bible, gain more understanding. You need the foundations, you need all this stuff. I think you do. I think having full understanding of the foundations is critical. But man, like practicum is critical as well. It needs to be at the same time. Like, how is this lived out? Like, what does this look like? And I think cats off the block specifically in the urban setting, which that's what we're about here. Like, man, we have to be able to reconcile scripture And we have to be able to reconcile that and say, well, let me show you a life lived. You know what I'm saying? Let me show you a life lived. And that's not all successes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, I suck right here, right now, and let me show you what that looks like.
And I mean, that's a great transition point because, we always think of, storytelling, let's tell the highlights.
Yeah.
And we know that's not scripture.
No.
Right? If it was a bunch of highlights, then it'll probably be, hard to emulate, hard
Right.
to, apply. But in leadership, how have you used storytelling, the good and the bad, to move people from A to B?
Yeah. I think part of Telemadim is having people, the statement that, you want to, it's that you're so close to your rabbi that you have the dust of your rabbi on you. It's like because you're so up close and personal.
Like physical dust.
Physical dust.
Not just the problem.
Not just the problem, just having the dust.
Yeah.
But they're so close to you. And I always say that a man will never know what it means to be a man unless he sits at another man's dining room table.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, how do you use the story, a living live story, no, watch me as I live. Watch this documentary real time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Watch that. You know what I'm saying? And watch me as I do something wrong, as I fail, as I make a mistake, as I intentionally have anger. I have all these real feelings and emotions that's inside of me now. And you're seeing this real played out. Boom, you're seeing it played out. And then now we're reading scriptures about this thing. And then you see me repent for it, or me seek clarity for it. Then boom, then we have our official time of meeting, and then we talk about it.
Yeah.
We talk about that story. It's like this whole, and it becomes in 3D versus being this one dimensional. Hey, I'm gonna give you a verse, 3 points, and in a video.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's all of it.
I mean, I wouldn't say away from discipleship because I feel like all leadership is in a sense duplicating yourself so someone can do what you do later.
Yeah.
But maybe in a secular, I don't want to say secular, but outside of the church, outside of discipleship, leadership as a thought. How does storytelling play a part?
Yeah.
Creating leaders, being a leader.
Yeah. People buy from people, man. People buy from people. And if they never know the authentic you, then who are they really buying into?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think everybody has a unique, dope story because it's unique makes it dope.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that, and that's whether you're a believer or not a believer, it is so critical. It's so many of our ancient, cultures live with story where it's like, and they're not, knee deep in Christianity. It's just the idea of like leading with story. I think something that's fascinating, I'm going back to scripture, is like, if we go back and we take out all the stories that Jesus told.
Don't do this.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we take those away, like, what do we have? What would we have?
Yeah.
What would we have in terms of Jesus's, or let's do even more, not just Jesus told, but Jesus lived. And we took away the story, or we took away the stories in the scriptures in general.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll have much left. And I think that's how critical it is for leadership. And I think the scriptures, like it, love or hate it, is a universal book of lessons. You know what I'm saying? That is true. And so it can be applicable in the church, outside of the church, Christian, non-Christian. You can't debate with truth. And I think that the leading with story has been so has been a space for transformation. Personally, I've been talking to leaders, and very specifically, as we focus on urban leaders, but I even narrowed down. You heard me say this to people, to leaders of color. It is we have to tell our story, then we have to write it.
Yeah.
And there's a thing where you can go through any college and university and study. Just pick the topic you study. But sadly, even in Christianity and in seminaries, Christian schools and seminaries, you can study and you never have to read one person that looks like me or you. your whole time in college. So there's two different train of thoughts here.
Yeah.
You can be mad,
Oh, they're racist.
they
They are
racist,
here.
and
They
da da da
are
da da da,
here.
or you can buck up, right? You know what I'm saying? My term for 2024 was, latter part of 2024 was, is that the words that we speak will have impact, but it's the words that we write that will last forever. So what about your children's children? You know how many funerals that people go to and then they're like, oh, I never knew that about grandpa.
Yeah.
My grandkids will never have to worry about that.
Dope. See?
They never have to worry about, one, I'm saying it, one, two, I'm living in front of them, three, I'm writing it down. And I think you having that dimension, and it's something I'm really, really, really passionate about. I want my kids to know everything it is to know about me. I want them to be Talmudim. I want them to emulate. I want them to know they gotta know me. They gotta know me. Who am I? What I'm about? What makes me? They need to know when I'm. Oh yeah, he got attitude when this happens. They need to know all those intricate details.
Yeah.
And then see, like, but can he be godly while he has attitude?
Yeah. And I mean, and this is all storytelling. I think you have a powerful story, talking about, fatherlessness in different stages,
Jeez.
So, I mean, I was there. I got to experience and see, okay, oh, well, I thought this guy was my dad. He wasn't my dad, but I had a living dad. But then there's a story in that, your grandchildren won't have to go through that because it's written down.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all been chronicalized, right? It's been chronicled. They won't have to. You alluded to. I went through a situation. Won't go in great details with it, but just the situation was like, yo, I didn't. I thought this man was my father, and he was, but he was trifling, so he wasn't around. And so I settled in my mind, like, yo, for 50 years, that I have a trifling father.
50 years.
50 years. You know what I'm saying? So you settle, you locked in. You know what I'm saying? And so it is what it is. But then it's like, then the man who raised me, who did everything he could to be a father to me, and I denied him that part of my heart because I thought I was stealing. You know what I'm saying? From whoever this masked man was, for some strange reason. So I never gave him his just due, and leaving my mother's house at 16, right? So I didn't really have a relationship. I checked out at 13. You know what I'm saying? I was staying out all night at 13 years old, coming home, sleeping on the front porch trunk. You know what I'm saying? So like, I checked out. So what kind of relationship did I really have?
Yeah.
In terms of a father, son, all those things, all the great things he'd invested, but that wasn't, and so basically, I'm sitting there and he dies. You know what I'm saying? So then you go through all those emotions, woulda, coulda, shoulda, you know what I mean? And the next thing you know, it's like, yo, all right, he's the only person in my house that shares my complexion. Maybe he was my father.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe he's the father. And then I started going on this journey, and make a long story short, kind of found out he wasn't, nor was the other guy. And I just felt like everybody lied to me. You know what I'm saying? Which that's the best feeling. That's a bad feeling. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're just like, man, I just want to tear this, like, who's going to do that? So I basically ended up finding out who my father was. He passed. He actually died. But I was able to connect with I have some two brothers. I was able to connect with them, additional brothers, and to be able to know, like, them to be able to fill in the spaces, be able to fill in some of the gaps, you know what I'm saying, to fill in the story.
Mm-hmm.
There's questions that's asked about my medical history that I've always said what was true.
To what you knew.
To what I knew.
Yeah.
To what like, that's not true. So now I can stand confidently, and I can now, because my brother is filling in some of those gaps on that. And then also what are some of the things that I have attributes. You met my brother, my brother Chuck, you'll be like, man, we're like exactly alike.
Mm-hmm.
The first time in my life I've met anyone that's exactly like me. And we've never met and we share. But even in that, as he lives, and I'm with him, we hanging, we looking, I'm better understanding who I am by watching his story live.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
and watching that, kind of being close and seeing how, finding like the efforts of finding who your father
Like
is,
Nemo.
right? It made me and the guys around me to kind of dig in more into our
Yeah.
family. Like we really had to know. I didn't check my dad. I'm like, are
Yeah,
we look a lot alike. So
like,
yeah, there's
there's
really
no,
no denying that.
there's
But
really no denying.
the desire
Yeah.
to reconnect with my dad
Yeah.
was reignited.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
your story, even though I'm related, but different side of the family. Now I'm figuring out. Oh man, like this guy put in effort to find his dad. I know who my dad is. So your story really impacted my life for the last 2 years, trying to reconnect. So anyway, big rabbit trail.
Yeah, big one.
But thankfully, as we transition, we have discipleship and leadership. Finally we get to the technology portion of telling a story. So, Hustle, Pray, Eat. We partnered on it. A lot of stories to tell.
Lots of.
But the marketing side of it, we learned the story branding, making people the hero of the story, finding pain points in a story. But this was all through the internet. Thankfully, we're here in the 2020s and we can make it happen. But how has technology helped you with your storytelling?
Yeah, I think that was a birth of a lot of things. So we had to flip the script, and it had to be not so much about Mark and Troy. So when I'm up preaching, you try your best not to make it about you, but then at the same time you're trying to get people to get to know you, so that they can trust you, so that you can take them on a journey. So it does become about you and your relationship with the Lord and how He has delivered you, so that you can gain a level of trust. This was different because now it's like, okay, how we were like in the background. I was barely in any pictures.
Yeah.
So any of that thing, we had like a little snippet, of our story in this thing. And people did, they were like, you need to, tell more. But it's like, no, it was a transition of like, no, it is really about, how do we, using technology and from digital means, show where this story, our story, collides with our constituents' story or potential constituent story or a base. Where do they collide?
Yeah.
And then let's now we can share this story. And it could be for us, those 3 words of hustle, pray, eat. We really didn't care where it started.
Right.
Because we know that they all are intertwined, they're all interconnected, whether everybody else knew it. So I think it was like, okay, so then, which was on you because you were the marketing person. Maybe you're the person that need to answer that question, because it was like, how do you invite other people into sharing their story? How did you, I know, but I think other people knowing, like, how did you use digital means back, that was 5 years ago.
Yeah. Thankfully, social media has a comment section. So
Straight up.
Yeah, when you hear or see amazing things in the comments, it's nothing to go into the DM and say, hey, man, we'd love to send you a free shirt, man. We'd love to hear your story.
Yeah, man.
But then I'll get scriptures that I never taught. So there's one, it was like, enjoy the toil of the work that you do. It was like in Ecclesiastes.
Right.
I'm not an amazing Bible scholar. I don't go to Ecclesiastes often. But then just to see, like, man, that's how they interpret it.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, hold on.
Yeah.
How many more people in ministry that's finding the hard work and they're asking God, hey, let me enjoy this work. Let me enjoy this, partnership in this service or this ministry with you, Lord, even though so-and-so never shows up. Or, it's hard work to it. So that hustle stood out to some people. The pray stood out to another group of people, and eat stood out to another. So it's like, yo, how do I like combine? How do I like collect all these stories?
Man.
And then push them back out with, high quality pictures and videos.
See, you making me tired even talking about it. I'm like, I'm swimming, because we were in a time that is totally different than now. Imagine, we're talking 5 years ago. AI. With all of what we were doing then, and all of what you were trying to figure out, that if the power of AI is available to you, how or what in the world would and will happen with Hustle Pray Eat when we have that. So some of the things in terms of telling the story, one of the things we could do is using things like ChatGPT or using things like Gemini. Maybe I should preface this that I've been an engineer for IT engineer for 20 something years. Trained in AI. Recently Google and IBM, working on a very difficult one now, certification. But it's nuts, and so this technology is so different. But you think about what you can do. So a person sitting in a room, and most people have never shared their testimony. Most people have never shared their testimony. They never shared their story, so they have no idea how to put it together. So first, you can start. You can go into ChatGPT and say, "Hey, yo, you're an expert in telling stories. You're an excellent storyteller, uh, and you like to tell stories through a Christian perspective." And you can say like, "What I want you to do is give me a framework. Give me 5 things that I should write out to talk about my story." So it gives it to you. You figure that out, and you type it in. Just type it in like you're answering the question. Keep it very short about what it tells you. And once it gives it back to you, then once it goes, then what you can do is you can put it on audio, where you can talk with it, and you can start saying, "Hey, I want you to tell me how am I doing with telling my story. Give me input and tell me things that I can change and I can shift." Where the technology can help you. Because you already told it, it's an expert community. It's an expert in telling stories. So it's a better storyteller than you'll be. And then it'll tell you like, "Hey, you did a good job here. But if I were you, I would emphasize this."
Yeah.
And so you're using technology to be more effective, more crisp, more straight to the point with telling your story.
And I think people get scared, especially with AI now. I mean, it's kind of new. It just depends on who you got on. But yeah, it's who you talking to. But with the AI, I think a lot of people they'll say, all right, I'm going to just give everything to this, artificial intelligence. And then there's some people that's like, oh, I'm not giving anything to it. Like, what's that balance, especially with storytelling, because it's so personal.
Yeah.
It's your story.
Yep.
Like, you put out how many books?
By end of January, it'll be 9.
All your stories.
Yeah.
All you. But how have you used technology to kind of strike that balance?
Yeah. So there's a IT statement that says good data in, good data out. Mm-hmm. So
I've heard it a couple million times.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so don't put in what you don't want to go out. So if you don't put it in there, AI never knows. It's not an all-knowing AI.
Okay.
So don't put it in there. So I talked to my son who's a cybersecurity guy, and I talked to like my little brother. Who's a cybersecurity architect, which they basically doing policy. They basically say don't do this and do that.
Okay.
Don't do this and do that. But then Mike has a certification in AI, and Chad is very very familiar. And so I went around and said, "Am I right? Because I'm an engineer, but I'm not a security guy. I don't think about risk litigation and risk like they do. So am I right?" And they were like, and we landed on, just don't put it in if you don't want it to go out. That's that first level of risk.
Yeah.
And it goes a lot deeper in that, and because can I trust the data that I'm receiving from AI, right? And because if it's not all knowing, then you're already not putting all of your trust in anyone or anything. Amen. So that premise is already there, and that's probably a policy. Right, you know what I'm saying? So it's like you're not thinking about you're not putting in the information that you don't want to go out, and then the information that's telling you back, it's an opinion. You take it as an opinion.
Yeah.
Take it as an opinion, not as it's etched in stone. I think that takes away a lot of the fear from it should take away a lot of fear, because we're doing this, we're querying the data on Google all the time, and we're never asking the same question.
No, facts only.
Every time there's a question mark on Google, you're querying, you're asking, you're trusting a data set. Mm-hmm. This one's just smarter. This captures more information faster, and at the speed that in which it captures the information is scaring people.
And I'm kind of cheating because I know I've been using AI. Was it Teledine?
Yeah,
I've been collecting my own dust when it comes to
yeah, yeah,
AI.
yeah, yeah,
But is there any other resources outside of I wouldn't say outside. Chat GPT
yeah,
does a lot of work for me.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Employee of the month, employee of the year. But
Yeah, I would say I wouldn't want a person to venture off too far because it's overwhelming. If you see my phone and how many apps I use, it's overwhelming how many you can dive into. And just understand that you have these LLMs, these spaces that where you can go in and you can talk and you can handle a lot of your stuff within a platform like ChatGPT, but then there's another one called Gemini.
mhm.
That's where I think that's a great place for a person to start because there's so much you can get done in that. And I would pause there. Maybe in later episodes, I'll bring some more things in for book writing and that kind of thing.
Yeah. And for someone that's trying to tell their story, do you have any like specific resources that can help them tell their story,
Yeah,
whether it's a book or a podcast or
yeah.
just everyday people?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think storytelling. I would say just search YouTube, man. YouTube University,
Amen.
and then just ask it for what you're looking for, and then use ChatGPT. Let it teach you how to be a better storyteller because it has a lot of access to resources. I think a key to that would be to tell it to go to a certain site. Tell it to go to a certain I'm sorry, to cite where it got the information from,
Mm.
so that you can go and you can do further research on that and you can validate what it's saying. But ChatGPT, again, it has a search in it now, so you can search the web right there in it, real time. So it's just, man, I hope you're enjoying the pod. Man, I want you to join me. We're doing the Unstuck Book Writing Boot Camp. You got to be there. So all you have to do is have an idea, ChatGPT, and then join us. I want you to go to nitrogennetwork.org and click the Unstuck button. Let's go.
I've been using ChatGPT. I've been using different AI, and I use it for almost anything.
But how many times a day would you say you use it right now?
Right now, I'm probably at 5. Like this, it's almost like I'm running things through AI just to get better ideas.
You said 5 times?
5 times,
Oh boy.
easy, 5 times. I use it on the way here.
Yeah, no.
But this Wild West concept of like, hey, there's a personal assistant. I've never had an assistant. There's an assistant that I can use and is giving back ideas off the internet. Beautiful marriage, but you've given almost a highway system a way where I can track and streamline and kind of put some structure to the thoughts where I could just ask, hey, what's a good recipe?
Mm-hmm.
But now you've given a model where I'm like, hey, what's a recipe that a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old
Yeah.
would like, that's easy to make, you put some like parameters to it. So as far as resourcing goes, is there anything on the topic of storytelling, any resources that you have specific to using
No.
AI?
Yeah, I would say, out of the plethora of books I've been able to create, I would say this one right here, which has just been released, which is the 60-day book. And then I am a person like there's so much material out here, like I ain't got time for that. And so I read information. I study a lot, as you know. You saying 5 times. I probably use ChatGPT 50 times a day minimum, at least 50. And so between ChatGPT and my other apps, I'll say I'm in AI-based platform at least 50 times a day. And so with that comes a lot of understanding, a lot of trial and error, and you learn stuff. And I just so happen to remember one of my few skills that I remember systems and processes. Mm-hmm. So one of the things I did was I released a book years ago and using old technology to get it done, right? And
Technology,
but
nonetheless.
technology nonetheless. You know what I'm saying? The old technology was there was a person that was ghostwriting for me. That basically I would go and I record on my phone and email them my recording for every single chapter. That's the way it was done.
Yeah.
And then they would send it back to me, and then I would go through, take my time and edit. But then at the same time, we're doing this in AI world, it's called human in the loop. And so you keep a person in the loop, and my language for it is having your assistant. You're always in the driver's seat. You're taking, and that's what was happening. Almost 20 years ago
Yeah.
when I wrote that first book. But I went through this process, had a budget, I had publicists, I had everything you would have when you sign a deal, a publishing or a record deal. I had it all, and so I just so happened to remember the process, and I decided once technology hit the scene or AI hit the scene, now that I have access to the same level of understanding that a line editor or a copy editor or the other 2 or 3 levels of editing that you get, I have access to it the same level of technology that they do now.
Yeah.
But it's only $20 a month called ChatGPT. And so I decided to take to take the process, and I just documented for my own personal, because I knew I was going to write several books.
Yeah.
So I literally just started writing it down, and I was like, because I need, this is a side thought, but it's like in order to duplicate, people want to grow and scale businesses, but most people don't know how to document what they do. And most people go off the dome, where it's, in order to multiply and scale, you have to standardize. In order to standardize, you need to know what it is, you need to write it down and get it so that a baby can understand it, so that you can give it away to somebody. Say, you got it, I'm gone, I'm working on something else.
Yeah.
Then I check in periodically with you to make sure you got it. That's what this is.
Yeah.
This right here is a child can write their book literally in 60 days. If they just follow it, it literally goes through beginning, it gets some basic understanding of AI, to demystify it and say, if you follow the steps, now you can try to freestyle it if you want to, but you're gonna get less. You're gonna get your quality of what you're gonna get in return is gonna be worse. You're gonna be spending more time typing on ChatGPT, and then you're gonna spend more time trying to create versus saying somebody's done it now 9 times to say, well, just follow it.
Yeah.
And then after you follow it, make it better. But please, well, you can waste your time if you want to. I think this doesn't make sense.
And I think the technology now, we have parameters where you don't have to really go outside of whatever you feed your AI assistant.
Right.
You can keep it within a certain, so you're not just getting random stuff to help with your book. You found a way to keep it, hey, let's keep the main thing the main thing.
Yep.
You want to tell your story.
Yep.
Here's a 60-day frame.
Yeah.
You got it down to the time.
Yeah. So in the back of the book, if a person follows, it goes from day 1 to day 60. But not just writing the books. It goes through the creative process of writing the book. But then they're in the middle, right in the middle, there's this other portion, because a human always needs to be in the loop.
Yeah.
But then I bring a professional human in the loop. So once I go ping pong back and forth with me and AI, then I get it to an editor. I go to Fiverr for between $150 and $300 versus $10,000. Someone will go in and do professional editing. And then I go back and I do the final edit to make sure that there's nothing weird that they put in there. You know what I'm saying? But it goes through all the way through that. But it doesn't stop there. I lead it to, it gets to, once you have that, then it talks about getting the book cover. So what does that look like? And then you got to turn up, it's a book cover, but then you got the inside, who formats the inside. Then you do that also. Then it doesn't stop there. Then it moves on to say, well, then how do you publish it using KDP? It go in great detail and say, this is how you get a copyright. This is how you get your ISBN number. But you need to get your ISBN number first, because you need ISBN in order to get your copyright. In order to get your Amazon KDP or to publish, you need to have your copyright. So it's an order and a sequence. Otherwise, you start doing things in the wrong order. But I go step by step by step, how to actually, from the beginning, your first idea, to actually getting it done in 60 days. And all you have to do is follow the steps and use ChatGPT exactly the way I tell you to do it. Yeah.
My goodness, it's one of those. A lot of people talk.
Yeah.
Very few people do.
Yeah.
And then even less people teach people how to do it. So, man, thank you so much. I'm going through the process myself.
Yeah. What do you think about it? What do you?
It's fun. You know, I'm going at a different pace. You know, kids, family, whole nine.
Yeah, because I wanted you to get it done in 2 weeks.
Yeah, try to get done in 2 weeks. But
So this is 60 days. You get. I need for people around me to get it done in 2 weeks. Now I'm extending it to a month.
Yeah.
No, 30 days.
No, appreciate it. It's finding that time, you know, prioritizing how important storytelling is, whatever's on your heart, and how to get it out to the world. Mine just happened to be about discipleship. So
yeah.
Luckily, I'm in the right spot.
Absolutely.
Teaching people. Well, as far as, you know, the next steps, we got the book, find it on Amazon. Make sure you go on Amazon, get that 60-day book.
60-day book.
Is there any other things that, you know, you feel? So
we, you know, what we like to do as an organization, Nitrogen, and through our podcast, is that we're about equipping. So we're always giving away stuff, we're always doing stuff, but we do have services that we provide. And one of them is our boot camps, you know, our unstuck boot camps. You can be everything from if you're stuck as a business owner, you're stuck as a artist, you're stuck as a church or as a ministry,
or writing a book,
because
right? That's what I'm showing.
You're stuck, right? And so what we do is we help you get unstuck. So what we in this particular one on January 16th. You just go to Eventbrite or hit the link below or type whatever. You'll be able to find it and just look for Unstuck Grand Rapids. And basically, we're taking what's been done in 60 days. You give me 24 hours, and you come with your idea, and come with a lot of sleep. Within that 24 hour, when you leave the following day, your book will be ready to go to phase 2. You'll be 80% done with your book. What happens is that it takes 36 hours to write a book. That's with old technology. And so I basically worked out the numbers. And if you use new technology, you can cut that down to a third. If you know how to do it. And that's what we figured out.
So wait, what day is this? I want to make sure I'm there.
January 16th and 17th. It's a 24-hour book writing boot camp. And on this book writing boot camp, what we're going to do is we're going to walk you through what does it mean to have your idea, use AI as an assistant, and then we're going to ping pong back and forth, you as a human in the loop. And then by that next day, you'll leave at 6 o'clock that evening with your book ready for you to get final edits.
Is there anything that we need to come up or show up with?
You need to have ChatGPT.
Okay.
And then you need to download Wave. Wave is another AI platform that you use to record. Because those are the two things we use because we stack them. We stack AI platforms. We stack them on top of each other, and we stack them, and we keep on using them. Stack them with human in the middle. It's human in the middle to build. And that's what causes us to be able to speed up things 2x. And so that's what we'll do.
Hey, thank you so much. Appreciate it. This has been this is a masterclass. If nothing else, about telling the story, getting out, whether it's your personal story or something that's just burning in your heart that the world needs to know. In discipleship, in leadership situations, and then how to use technology to make it happen.
That's what we do.
I appreciate you, man. Is there anything else? Are we missing anything?
I ain't missing nothing, man. I'm looking forward to the next one. We get an opportunity so we can thrive together. Let's go.